Welcome to Whips and Wobbles, the channel dedicated to the love of cars and bikes. Today we'll be featuring electric vehicles, also known as EVs. Be sure to stick around to the end and we'll give you our personal thoughts on whether or not you should buy an electric car. So what exactly is an electric vehicle? Well, the U.S. Department of Energy defines an electric vehicle as, quote, a vehicle that can be powered by an electric motor that draws electricity from a battery and is capable of being charged from an external source, end quote. An electric vehicle, or EV, can be all electric, meaning all its power comes from an electric motor, or it can be a hybrid, meaning it can be powered by both an electric motor and an internal combustion engine. While electric motors can be traced back as far as the 1800s, they didn't really arrive on the car scene in America until 1902, with the release of electric automobiles by the Studebaker Brothers Manufacturing Company. However, the lack of infrastructure to support electric cars and the relatively inexpensive cost of gasoline-powered cars prevented the electric vehicles from gaining traction. Fast forward to the early 21st century, an electric vehicle saw a re-emergence on the scene, thanks in part to the environmental impacts of gas-powered automobiles. Today, you can see EVs all around you, as many have made the switch from gas to all-electric or hybrid vehicles. But should you join them? Well, here are 5 pros and 5 cons of owning an electric vehicle. Pro number 1, money. Owning an electric vehicle definitely saves you money over time. Based on current gas prices versus electric plan prices, a car owner can save on average around $800 a year. EVs are also much cheaper to maintain as they don't have internal combustion engines. So say goodbye to oil changes, tune-ups, and even replacing spark plugs. You don't have to do any of that with an EV. And the government even offers incentives and tax credits to environmentally conscious citizens. For instance, in 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act was passed. In addition to offering incentives for electrifying their homes through solar energy, the bill also gives an incentive of up to $7,500 for those who go green by purchasing electric vehicles. Pro number 2, convenience. Owning an electric vehicle is much more convenient for you. You can literally fuel up your vehicle at home by simply plugging it in. You never have to worry about trying to make it to the gas station, either late at night or first thing in the morning. Just park it and plug it. Couldn't get much simpler than that. And now more and more charging stations are available across the country, so fueling on the go is just as convenient as getting gas. As an added bonus, electric motors are more up-to-date than their internal combustion cousins. So they have digital features like apps that can locate charging stations and provide a wealth of information about the vehicle itself. Pro number 3, less emissions. EVs produce much less pollution, which is safer for the environment. On average, an electric vehicle's emissions are equivalent to an internal combustion vehicle that would get about 75 miles per gallon. And they don't produce any emissions from the tailpipe because they run off a battery, not internal combustion engines. Pro number 4, fun to drive. Electric vehicles are very cool and fun to drive. If you're searching for a calm, peaceful ride with little to no noise pollution, look no further than an electric vehicle. EVs offer very smooth, quiet rides. Sometimes drivers even comment on having to be sure the car is even on. They're also very easy to handle. They're super responsive, and the ride is very comfortable. You will have tons of fun just whipping these cars around town and on the open road. Electric vehicles offer a top-notch driving experience. Pro number 5, updates. As electric vehicles become more popular, more updates are coming to further enhance the experience. Thanks to smart charging tech, EV owners are able to charge their vehicles through renewable energy resources like solar energy panels and wind turbines. This makes owning the vehicles even more convenient. You can connect your home EV charger to a solar panel or use a public charger that's powered by the sun. Either way makes your EV that much more green. And more dealers are electrifying their vehicle options. You can get electric cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, and even sports cars. In fact, Dodge just announced the all-new Charger Daytona, an all-electric muscle car. You can be sure you don't have to sacrifice your style if you want to make the switch from gas to electric. So, owning an electric vehicle definitely has pros. You'll save money on gas, you'll save time by charging at home, you'll be a friend to the environment, and you'll have fun driving them. But to be fair in our review, let's take a look at some of the cons of ownership. Con number 1, money. You may save money in the long run when you purchase an EV, but the upfront cost can be considerably higher than when buying a gas-powered vehicle. EVs typically have a higher cost because the cost of the lithium-ion batteries in the vehicles is high. Not only is the cost of buying the car itself higher, but the cost of replacing that battery is also high. The battery won't need to be replaced until 8 to 10 years down the road, but it can be a costly feature to consider since that battery will run you about $6,000. You also have to consider the cost of installing the electric car charger. This cost can range from $300 to $1,800, depending on the type of charger you want. A level 1 charger runs off of your existing outlets and is thus cheaper to install. Level 2 chargers are more expensive as they must be professionally hardwired into your home. So again, you save money eventually, but you gotta spend money first. Con number 2, range. Electric vehicles can't drive as far off of one tank. Most electric vehicles average about 100 to 400 miles on a single charge. That may be fine for driving around town or even commuting to and from work. But if you're going on longer trips, you will need to stop and charge much more. Which leads us to number 3. Con number 3, time to charge. You will definitely use more time charging an electric vehicle than you would simply stopping at a gas pump to fill up. Even rapid chargers will take 15 to 30 minutes and only add 100 or so miles of driving. On average, an electric battery takes 8 to 10 hours to charge from empty to full. Think about being on a long road trip and having to stop every few hundred miles to charge. That could add significant time to your travels. And level 1 or level 2 chargers at home can take up to a couple days, depending on the charger and the battery power level. This might not be a problem if you don't constantly drive the battery to 0%, but it's still something to note and consider. Con number 4, limits on renters. If you don't own your home, it may be more difficult to own an electric vehicle because you can't easily install a charger. As EVs become more popular, more apartment and condo dwellers are able to buy them because property owners are installing charging stations. However, not owning your own home in which you can put your battery is a major roadblock for many, especially if they live in an area without many public chargers. That kind of situation pretty much makes it impossible for someone to make the switch from gas to electric. Con number 5, limited charging stations. There are gas stations everywhere, but not so much so for charging stations, not yet anyway. The infrastructure has vastly improved since the Studebaker days, but we're still a long way from being one-to-one with gas pumps and electric charger stations. However, thanks to the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, there is now one EV charging station for every 15 gas stations, with many of those being in the same location. There are more options available for charging now, but you would still need to be much more careful in planning your trips in an electric vehicle. So now that you know the pros and cons, what should you do? Should you take the plunge and buy your first electric vehicle? Or should you stick with the old faithful, tried and true gas powered mode of transportation? Well, for us, we land somewhere in the middle. Remember, we mentioned earlier that electric vehicles can be all electric or they can be hybrid. Hybrid electric vehicles are those that use both internal combustion engines and electric motors. They're pretty much the best of both worlds when it comes to your options, and here's how. Number 1, hybrid vehicles still use gasoline. There are still gas stations on almost every corner in America. So the issues of finding somewhere to plug in your car for a little charge or even having to reconfigure your home electricity infrastructure aren't really a concern for you if you have a hybrid. This also means that you can travel much farther in a hybrid than you can in an all-electric vehicle. The range is extended because the vehicle doesn't rely solely on electricity for its power. Number 2, speaking of plugging your EV in, while there are hybrid vehicles that you can plug in just like all electric vehicles, there are plenty of hybrids that are self-charging. The batteries in these hybrids are small, high-voltage batteries that charge off the energy usually lost in braking and coasting. These batteries are smaller than the batteries in all electric vehicles, so they can also cut down on weight, which lends itself to better handling too. Number 3, because hybrids use the smaller, lighter batteries, they are cheaper to purchase than all electric vehicles. Hybrids are also more available to purchase. However, you need to note that hybrids are still more expensive to purchase than gas-powered vehicles. And the money you save on gas with an all-electric vehicle is lowered because the hybrid uses gas. Not to mention the money you will spend on higher insurance premiums and maintenance, which are both comparable to all electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are the way of the future. They offer many benefits and advantages over standard internal combustion vehicles. Whether you choose an all-electric model or a hybrid model, you will be making a smart decision for both yourself and the environment. Happy driving! And be sure to like and subscribe for more content on Whips and Wobbles.